The Adventures of Batman.
Welcoming you to the new adventures of Batman.
Welcome to Batmanimation, the Batman on Film podcast, exploring the animated adventures of the Caped Crusader. I am BOF Senior Contributor Ryan Lower. It's been a while. I had to dust off the mic for Batmanimation, but it's back. Turned on the TV, flipped it to the right channel. And with me, guiding me on this, is a special guest. You've heard him on Batmanimation. He will forever go down as the savior of a night in Dallas. Getting us some beer. It's a learned gentleman, Trey Jackson. Hello, Trey.
Thank you for having me. I had to dust off my mic as well, but glad to be here.
Yes, I'm glad we were able to do this. I know you and I have had talks about this quite a while ago, and it was just when our schedules can calm down and we can fit this in. I never forgot about you. I promised you. I never forget.
I knew you wouldn't.
Yeah, and so here we are, and very unique choice for Batmanimation, because today we're going to be talking about Superman the Animated Series, and specifically the episode Nighttime.
3 weeks ago, Bruce went to work like normal, and then walked right out without saying a word to anyone.
We'll start with his computer records for that day.
So how'd you do Batman's voice?
Precise muscle control.
Now, some quick little background on this episode specifically. It aired in October of 1998. It was episode 2 of the 3rd season of the series. It was written by Robert Goodman, directed by Kurt, I'm going to say Geda, Geda. Both of those gentlemen have a great resume in DC animation. So Goodman, he was attached to episodes of the New Batman Adventures, The Batman, Batman Beyond, The Dark Knight Returns, as well as a Superman movie, Superman Unbound. And then Kurt G, he's attached to Batman Mask of the Phantasm, the X-Men cartoon series from the 90s, Batman the Animated Series. Like, both of these guys, they know what they're doing in this realm. Some of the known voice cast, of course, returning for this are Kevin Conroy voicing Batman, all the regulars from the Batman the Animated Series. I had this pulled up and I lost it, some of the specific names. But the usuals, as well as Tim Daly for Superman and Clark Kent. I'm trying to see what the Robin kids, Tim Drake, who voiced him. Because
Matthew Valencia.
There you go. Gosh,
Yeah.
look at this guy.
Yeah.
Trey came prepared. I did not. A few others: Roddy McDowall as the Mad Hatter, John Glover as the Riddler, Paul Williams as the Penguin, Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon, Henry Silva as Bane, Charity James as Roxy Rocket, and then Corey Burton as Brainiac. So, Trey, I want to turn it to you, because this is a very interesting and probably unexpected pick that people would think we did for Batmanimation, because when this podcast was thrown about on Batman on Film, it's Batman on Film. So if we're going to do Batmanimation, then it's got to have Batman in it. And if Batman's not the star, he has to play a significant role in the whatever the animated movie, animated episode, whatever. So you came to me talking about this episode. So what's a little bit of your reasoning behind this being a selection for us to talk about?
Well, for one thing, it's awesome. It's just one of the coolest episodes. So, I mean, you may remember, though, I like to, I don't mean be difficult, but I like to push the boundaries of what can be included.
Yeah.
When we've talked on the Batman Book Club, plug for another excellent podcast, one of my picks was the Joker graphic novel.
Yeah.
So I think I pushed the boundaries a little bit there, because Batman's not the focus. But it does take place in his world, and he's very important to what's going on. So this episode is another example of that, where it doesn't happen unless there's a well-established Gotham City, Bat Family, Rogues Gallery, all of that is the setting for a story, but the central mystery is where is Bruce Wayne? What has happened to him?
Yeah.
And Superman plays a very unique role of having to solve that with Robin. And I remember watching this back when it first aired. I watched the Batman Superman hour that was on the WB network every afternoon. And I was just blown away that, I mean, they had already shown the world's finest 3-part movie. So you'd already seen Batman and Superman interact there. But I think this was the very next time that those two characters kind of crossed over into each other's world. And I just thought that was one of the coolest ideas, that Superman would go to Gotham and pretend to be Batman and solve a mystery in Gotham City. I thought that was a really cool use of all the characters in Gotham and Metropolis and Batman and Superman's world. So it's always been one of my favorites ever since I saw it back when it first aired. And I don't get tired of talking about Superman the Animated Series. I think it's phenomenal. One of my favorite adaptations of Superman. Still gets, for as much love as it does get, I think it's still underappreciated. So
do you hold that series in high regard, just like you do of Batman the Animated Series for Batman, like equivalent?
I think Superman the Animated Series does for Superman what Batman the Animated Series did for Batman.
Okay. Yeah, that was phrased a lot better than my question. So good answer.
No, I love it. It's what, I mean, when I was real little, I remember seeing, clips of the Donner Christopher Reeve movies and the Fleischer serials. So I remember watching those and knowing who Superman was, but the animated series is what really introduced me to Superman's larger world and everything that could happen in there. And it just made me a lot more interested in the character than I was before seeing it.
So you were in on the ground floor for this episode. Like, I think you just said that you saw it when it first aired.
If not when it first aired, one of the
around then.
One of the reruns pretty quickly soon after. Because do you remember watching? They would play Batman animated series and Superman animated series back to back weekday afternoons. I
avoided Superman because I had a bias against Superman growing up.
Really?
I did, because back in the 90s, I think it still felt like Superman was top dog. Superman could take down Batman, and I didn't like that. My young little mind didn't like that, and I could not get past the fact of a pair of glasses, the old thought, but it wasn't influenced on me. I couldn't get past the fact of a pair of glasses. People can't recognize that's Superman. So that just, my little underdeveloped mind could not get past that. And Batman was just cooler. So the Superman animated series, I knew it was on, but I didn't watch it at all. I'm glad that I have developed. Still, I've told anybody Team BOF of like how, if you need to come to anybody for Superman opinions, I'm like, make me last, because I like my knowledge on him. Of course, like, I'm reading and watching stuff, but it's limited. I haven't seen every episode of Superman the Animated Series. I've seen some, and I enjoy them. This episode, I didn't see it until, do you remember the Superman Batman Public Enemies animated movie?
Yes.
It was Bruce Timm. He attached 6 cartoons to that under the extras, and this was one of those. So that was in 2009, and that was the first time I saw this episode. And then watching it when the series would start to be on streamers and stuff, then I would go back and I'd watch this one because Batman's in it. But I'm with you on overall of like this episode. I think this is a really good episode. I think it's a very fun episode. I love that it takes place in Gotham, but it also just like really works, and to get it out of the way, how it can justify this for Batmanimation, it's because criminals are kind of starting to take over Gotham because Batman is missing. So that right there, Batman's very important to this episode because he's missing. And then Robin is trying to hold down the fort, but he needs a little bit of help, and that's where Superman comes into play. And then the funnest aspect of this is as he's dressed up and trying to do the mannerisms, doing the voice of Batman in the suit, Robin giving him awesome like little one-line helpful hints of like, hey, the second spot in the utility belt, hey, grappling gun on the right, like stuff like that, and asks even of like, how'd you do that with your voice? And he's like very specific muscle, like
Precise muscle control.
Thank you. Yes, precise muscle control and stuff like in it. So there, it's just very quickly like this totally counts as like a Batmanimation episode, and then Bruce does show up, at the end of the episode, and so all is well. But I think it's just like it's a very fun episode. This is totally counts as a world's finest, team up basically, like across the board. So I haven't actually asked very many people that maybe are more Superman than Batman fans or anything like that, but it just kind of seems like whichever hero you lean more toward, like everybody's happy when it comes to this episode. Everybody's pleased.
I think so. And I'm definitely, Batman comes first for me.
Okay, good. I was about ready to end the call, but we're good. Okay.
No, but Superman, he's a close second.
Sure.
And I think that I think there's a lot to like for whichever you prefer. I think you get some great moments to take from this episode, either way you go. But I think it works really well putting Superman in Gotham City is just such a unique take, like how he deals with, he talks about like how weird it is to sneak around and try and be quiet and stealthy, but then you get to see him do cool stuff. Like, have you ever wondered what it would be like to see Superman fight Bane? You get to see that in this episode.
So that's a little surprising in how I don't know if it's just surprise or what, but as I was watching it, I was almost a little surprised that he took as many hits as he did before. And so I even rewound it because I was like, they didn't sneak any kind of like kryptonite in this or something, did they? Because he just seemed very human in taking the punches from Bane, getting thrown, and then that big, statue being thrown on him. And then he, Supermaned up and he started working out, Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of read that as he's in his head, he's got to be wondering like, okay, how much do I let on that this isn't bothering me or that this isn't hurting me as bad. So that's kind of how I always have thought about it. Like throughout the episode, he's trying to embody Batman and trying to copy some of his mannerisms. I mean, there's even when he's on the rooftop talking to Gordon, he's like trying to stand there like all stoic and not let on that's not really who he is at all, and that's not how he would approach a situation. So when it came to fighting Bane, to me I thought that was just more of the same. Like he's trying to maintain the illusion that he's a human being under there, and it just comes to a point where he just has to go Superman on him and take him out.
I think a strength, like leading up to that point, even, and you can credit Goodman for this, but the story, everything does snap together really well to keep the story going, because you'd think like, well, why is Superman even go to Gotham? And it's like, okay, well, how about our opening is bring a Gotham villain to Metropolis, in which they do with Roxy Rocket. And it's what are you doing here basically? And she said, well, I thought I'd try out Metropolis because Gotham's, every crook's got their, I don't know exact phrasing, but every crook's got their hand in the cookie jar in Gotham. So I just figured I'd come to Metropolis and try it. So therefore it's like, since Batman's missing, since Superman, because, this was the second episode of season 3. Well, it was towards the back end of season 2 that the 3-part World's Finest cartoon aired. So they do exist together in the same universe because of those episodes. So the tables, I guess you could say, is like already set for them to somehow merge again if they want to. And Superman, and knowing of like, oh, Batman's missing, well, this is a problem, in which then we get him to Gotham, and you get him into stumbling across some crooks, and Robin trying to take down the crooks, and then before they're gonna shoot him, Superman comes in and saves the day, and then does the questioning with Robin of like, hey, young buckaroo, like where's your daddy? Where's Batman at? You know, sort of deal. So I really like how they do write a I don't want to say tight script, but a script that just it doesn't feel like there's any fat to trim.
Yeah.
Everything works.
Yeah, it really does. And there's a couple of one of the ways that Batman gets through to Robin, or that Superman gets through to Robin to tell him, like, you need to let me help you.
Mm-hmm.
Initially Robin is, dismissive and is like, I got this. You can leave. And then Superman is like, well, let's put it another way. Where's Bruce? And that's what turns the light on for Robin. He's like, oh, this guy is more aware of what's going on than I gave him credit for. Which is kind of funny because I'm sure that Batman, in the world's finest movie, he kind of dismissed how useful or intelligent Superman was as an ally. And here you got Robin, starting off kind of doing the same thing. But Superman is like, no, I know a lot more than you realize. And I'm here because you can't handle this. And something needs to be done.
And then, go ahead.
No, they're good moments like that. They're good. And I do love the pairing of Clark and Tim Drake. I think that works really well. I think I think the way they're both characterized, they play off each other really well. So yeah, it's a really well written episode. I don't know that there's anything that you even could take out or call extraneous. I think it all works together really well.
Yeah. Well, I would say that maybe Riddler's inclusion. I know it's so brief, but maybe because Mad Hatter's makes sense in the nanites that they find up at in Wayne Enterprises. Which Superman sees, Robin doesn't because they're so microscopic. He picks up on those, and so then it's a trigger quickly of like, we're in Gotham with these mind control. That's Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
And then you get there, and then Bane is part of it too, and Riddler, and I guess, but also I'm not going to sit there and act like I didn't want Riddler there because of course I do.
Yeah. It didn't have to be Riddler specifically. I guess the point was just to show like these criminals are meeting out in the open and talking about just how crazy they're going to go. And you can kind of show that by having at least three of them there. But you're right, it didn't need to be Riddler for any particular reason. And I think this is the only appearance of Riddler in the redesigned New Batman Adventures. I don't remember him in any other episodes. And not to get off on a tangent, but
no, it's all good because that's going to bug me too. Like, oh, let's see here. Because I remember the design. I didn't like the design as much as the animated series. There's seldom that I do like I think I like the bat suit equally as much as the animated series. Because I do like the black and gray, but I really like the first version, from the animated series.
I don't know if this is a hot take, but I don't like any of the designs better than
any of them
series counterparts.
I don't think that's so much a hot take. I think a lot of
even the one that gets trotted out as an improvement is Scarecrow, but even that one, I think the spindly little straw man who can scare the crap out of you works better. But
he was in season 2, episode 9, Judgment Day.
Okay.
But
he didn't feature as a villain. He wasn't the main villain in it.
No, definitely not. Anybody who hasn't seen that, I don't want to spoil who the villain is of that episode, but no, Riddler is not the main one at all. In that. So yeah, I mean, it took a little bit more of a backseat. But yeah, so something that I was going to mention too to lead up to Mad Hatter that I actually kind of forgot until I looked at my notes was that another villain that we got to see was Penguin.
Yeah.
And this was a fun note because it's like, where's Mad Hatter? Well, Penguin, he knows where people are. He's definitely, underground, got an ear underground, low to the ground, whatever you want to say. And the whole, like, where is he? And Penguin doesn't want to answer. And Robin's whole, like, kick the desk. And so then it's great because of how much force is behind it, because he's Superman. He isn't controlling too much. So that freaking desk moves, it crashes a penguin. It's like, oh, okay. Like that was another nice moment of kind of camaraderie between Robin and Superman too. Because like you mentioned, of Superman saying, all right, well, where's Bruce? And it's not like that continued of Superman being, well, puffing his chest, kind of, well, I'm here, so I need to figure it out. Because then you do have the moments of Robin helping him and guiding him. So there's a nice give and take between the two. And it's never like that opening moment of Robin and Superman's kind of the only quote unquote combative part between the two in the whole episode, which I'm really appreciative of, because I'm like, I don't need to see heads clashing with the heroes. Like, we're good. You guys are working together, trying to figure out where Bruce is. So I like that.
Yeah. And their personalities wouldn't lead to any kind of clashing anyway, except at the very beginning when they're just getting to know each other. So,
yep. And so things lead. I mean, it's a nice mention. They're not present, but who Robin's talking about of Nightwing and Batgirl trace Bruce's phone call. How do you say New Zealand? Romania. And there's a ghoul. So the owner like, I know who that is. I know who he's talking about. And then leading to Bruce's
a good explanation of why they're not there.
Yeah. I mean, covering their tracks. One line. And it fits and builds on the story. So it's like, awesome. Perfect. Because you could totally get that with like, what? A guy from Metropolis is here, but the people in Gotham aren't. It's like, nope, they're off trying to solve this elsewhere.
Well, and the ghoul guy, if he were the one responsible, that would be a big enough deal to require both of them to leave.
Yeah, for sure. And then I do like I think they did a good job animating Bruce's video message to Lucius, and how he was like, "Hey, Lucius," and then, like showing teeth smiling, and how he's like, "Look at that! You're telling me that's not acting? He's smiling."
Yeah,
I think that's a nice little moment that also is like, it's not one beat you over the head like, hey, this is funny, isn't it? Isn't this funny? It's just like a good, genuine kind of element, on this to inform the story.
And that's one of the things that tips Robin off. It's like, something is wrong with this guy. He's way too happy.
Like, oh man, good stuff. But I mean, leads to, I forget exactly how it leads to the Wayne Air. It's basically like not the airport.
So in the video,
aerospace. There we go. The Wayne Aerospace.
Yeah. So there were two things that were really interesting. So Superman saw the nanites, because he's Superman. And then when they were watching the video message that Bruce left, Superman could pick up on the sound of rocket boosters like in the background. So those are like two things where in the process of solving this mystery, really Superman's the only one who could have done that, who could have put those together. So I was watching it this most recent time and I was like, well, how well a job would Bruce have done? Like if you could imagine Bruce Wayne as Batman, like looking for himself, but having the same clues. I mean, would he have seen the nanites as quickly, or would he have figured that out? I don't know. Or would he have been able to pick up on the rocket sounds in the background? I don't know. But having Superman there, he brings his own unique, set of tools for solving the mystery. So I think it kind of showcases like having him here allows you to move the story forward in ways that you couldn't have done the same thing. Yeah. Just if you just made this a straightforward Batman story.
Hey y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor.
Do you think by it being the nanites that would instantly tip off Brainiac?
I mean, it does if you've watched the series, because even the musical cue like kind of reminds you of some of the music that you've heard in previous Brainiac episodes. But yeah, I mean it I'm trying to remember when I first watched it, like if I knew that it was Brainiac before the reveal. It's
Yeah.
been so long, I don't really remember, but I did get the sense that as soon as he saw that they were nanites, microscopic, and even Mad Hatter is like, these are alien origin. Nothing on Earth can make this. So
Mhm.
as soon as you hear that, you're like, okay, this really does have some Superman
Yeah.
roots to it.
Because I mean, they cover their tracks well by instantly going to, like, mind control, Mad Hatter, you're in Gotham City. So it's a good diversion to make you
Yeah.
forget, oh, okay, we've left outside of Superman himself, we've left Superman the animated series in Metropolis.
hmm
And then, for a good, nice little reveal as they get to the aerospace of, and it is, yep, it's Brainiac. It's like, well done, Brainiac.
Yeah.
You're so and so. But he's
Yeah.
controlling Bruce for the aerospace. And then, like, what's the overall goal of Brainiac?
hmm Well, it's to get off of Earth because he has no way to leave. He's stuck there from. I don't know if you saw Brainiac's first episode in the animated series, but
That was going to be my follow-ups to you, is what's the, at this point of the series, like, what's the storyline with Brainiac?
I think he's stuck there until he can create some kind of rocket ship or some kind of mode of transportation to leave and go back to his, invading a planet, collecting all its knowledge, and then destroying it. His ways, his Brainiac ways. So, from what I remember, he came to Earth. He joined up with Lex Luthor and LexCorp, and was kind of taking over everything with LexCorp to do just that, to eventually collect all of Earth's knowledge and then destroy it. Superman stopped him, mainly got rid of him, but he still left a little bit of his programming in Lex's computer system, made his way into Bruce Wayne's that way. So I don't think he's got any means of getting off of Earth at this point. So I think that's his whole motivation, is just, I got to get back to what I do, and I need a way off Earth.
Works.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. The plot, that works, but he doesn't see it through to fruition.
No.
He gets close.
Yeah.
And then Superman jumps into Superman mode because he gets the bat suit burn off of him. And it made me laugh a little bit that he still has that Superman suit on underneath the bat suit. Because when it was burning off for a moment, I was almost just like, how are they gonna cover up a naked Clarky?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's got the Superman suit on. Well, all right.
Yeah.
Makes enough sense. We're good.
Yeah. He double layers his pajamas.
That's right. Yeah. A lesson for all you kids out there. Like, double up your Batman and Superman pajamas.
Most of us have done it at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Cold out.
Absolutely. We've done that. We've been there. I do like the way it wraps up. And as soon as Superman stops Brainiac, Bruce, does classic Kevin Conroy, because he snaps out of it. Snaps out of it, and then they're back in the Batcave, in which, like, I'll always take a Batcave scene anytime. And it was like, it's nice, in which Superman and Robin were in the Batcave, earlier in the episode 2, as they were investigating, detecting. But I like this last scene tuned, and it ends on a good high note of Superman basically complimenting Robin, and that Batman's got a good, he's got a good partner. And stuff too. All that, like, that gave you the warm and fuzzies to end on. This Superman just flew out away, and anybody that could be in the proximity of Wayne Manor, right there on the cliff, is like, oh, Superman, he's flying around Wayne Manor. I wonder why. Oh.
But nobody lives out there.
Nobody knows. And that actually, like, reminded me a bit of Batman Forever, when at the end, towards the end, the big finale, Robin shoots out in the bat boat, and the bat plane goes flying up, and it's, the backside of, like, a cliff or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I think about Batman Forever all the time.
It reminded me of just in general, thinking about who lives close to Wayne Manor. I always think of how in Batman Forever, for some reason, they get trick-or-treaters. And
exactly.
So kids don't mind that mile hike between the
No,
the
it better
front
be
gate
worth
and the
it.
front door. Yeah.
So they make that whole hike, and then Alfred's like, "Don't take too much, you'll be sick." And they're like, "We won't, Alfred." I remember that. I mean, are there any other kind of like points that you want to bring up, Trey?
Just that I do think pairing Clark Kent and Tim Drake works really well. You just kind of get to see them accentuate each other's positivity, because Clark he's out of his element. He doesn't sneak around. He doesn't, do stealth, and he doesn't often resort to intimidation. But
Yeah.
Tim is there, like egging him on. Like, no,
Mhm.
this is how we do it. So it's just a lot of fun seeing them interact. And then at the end, like you said, a good moment where he's kind of giving Bruce a little bit of a hard time. He's like, you portray yourself as such a loner, but you're pretty good at picking partners.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you can't help but notice that Superman has been a partner of his at one point, and now Robin is a partner of his. So Superman is kind of like, yeah, we can see through it. You can keep pretending you're a loner, but
You have
we know what's going on
such
here.
a rough exterior, but you're soft and mushy on the inside.
Yeah.
I think so. Being Batman fan first and foremost, I think what I appreciate about the episode is it's like it's reinforcing Batman's importance to Gotham City.
Yeah.
With the absence of Batman, and it doesn't bring somebody in to like knock Batman down in any way whatsoever. It's like it's almost like the whole episode's in service, like is in servicing Batman's importance, lifting him up of how he's relevant. And I think it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a clever way, I think, to do that.
Yeah.
The Batman cartoon, I mean, there's an episode of Joker dressing up as Batman in Tom King's Batman run. There's the issue where each couple dresses as the other couple, and stuff like that. So we see the other dress ups and stuff like that, which I don't know. It's always kind of fun, but this might be like the best time that's used, I think.
Well, and this is another good indication that Gotham is the kind of city with the kind of criminals that needs Batman, and Superman could do some good there, but he couldn't do the same kind of good that Batman does. Like, you even see that in the World's Finest movie, where Joker really gets the drop on Superman multiple times. So you're like, you can't just solve the problems that Gotham has just by being faster and stronger than everybody else.
Yeah.
And this episode does a good job of kind of reminding you of that Superman had to do it. I mean, he did, have to bring his own unique, talents to the table to work through the problem, but he had to do it as Batman and had to do some things that he wasn't used to doing to make it work. So, yeah, I think it's good. Like we said at the beginning, I think it's a good celebration of both characters. Neither one of them gets diminished at the...
Exactly. Yep. That's a pet peeve of mine is, hey, we need to build up this character, so let's make sure we knock down the other one. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't need to do that. There are other ways to build up everyone that needs to be built up, and I think they did a good job. I think I was really surprised that Paul Dini didn't write this.
Yeah.
I think for both of these series, you can almost just feel like if it's good, then Dini has hands on it. Then Dini wrote it, but no.
Yeah.
Good old
Wouldn't
Bob
surprise
Goodman.
Wouldn't surprise me if they had he had some influence, but that's a really good writer's room.
I went to like the IMDb page, and there's a ton of credits, which of course, you have the character credits of, Siegel and Schuster, and then Bob Kane, but then, internet's lagging a little bit, so I'm trying to look up how many names, but that's where I had, I went through because I was watching it and I was like, well, did Dini write this? So I pulled this up as I was watching the episode, Even though it says, right at the beginning of the episode who wrote it. But I mean, Bob Goodman's goes by Bob now. And then it goes into the created by, but then it says, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 series writers.
Yeah.
In which Alan Burnett and Paul Dini are both listed as that. And then Goodman gets a series writer credit, and then he also gets a staff writer uncredited credit. So there you go.
Well,
quite a writer's room. There's 3 Bobs.
Yeah. Then you've got the director, Kurt. I think Gata sounds right, but I'll call him Kurt.
I do too.
Like you did.
Yep, Kurt
But
G.
he's got a pretty good history. I mean, he was a storyboard artist for listen to these episodes: Heart of Ice, Feet of Clay, Joker's Favor, Christmas with the Joker. So he's got, and then he was the director for Return of the Joker, the Batman Beyond movie. So there's a lot of talent behind these episodes, and it shows.
Yeah. Not to mention a story. I mean, it's weird that there's storyboard artist underneath the credits of. Oh wait, no, maybe it just shot me back up. Okay, yeah, that's what it did. I mean, the fact that he was the director of 2012 Scooby-Doo Spooky Games, that says all that you need to know. But then also he's on. I didn't even mention he's on Beware the Batman. He did 8 episodes of that show. He did Justice League Action. So, I mean, that's what I always do enjoy, especially an episode like this of like, hey, it's not Burnett, it's not Tim, it's not Dini. There's 2 other names. So what else did these people do? And then you look it up and it's kind of like, oh, like the proof was like right there when you look at their resumes and stuff that they worked on of quality material and everything. So that's always fun to go back and check out. Do you have a favorite part, like a part that really stands out to you of this episode?
Favorite part. I mean, I do enjoy when Superman initially confronts Robin and makes him understand that he's going to need him. The fight with Bane, I thought it was cool. Like, Superman and Bane get to fight.
Because you want it, you're like, Superman, I know you can kick his ass. Do it.
Yes,
just do
absolutely.
it. And at first you don't think so, but then when that statue breaks and it goes on the reactions of everybody else, you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Here comes the show.
Well, and the other funny thing is the villains never know that it's not Batman. So that's the picture that's another fearful memory they have of Batman going forward. So I'm sure Batman himself doesn't mind that's how he is in their mind.
Like Mad Hatter and Riddler went back to Arkham. They're like, guys, Batman has been working out.
Yeah.
He beat the hell out of Bane. I think mine and a bunch of, quickly, the fight that you just mentioned, I really enjoyed. The Penguin interaction was funny and effective. I think I really like quote Batman and Robin going on top of GCPD for the first time. Because then Gordon's surprised of like, oh, there you are, where have you been and stuff, and then out comes the voice sounding, it's Kevin Conroy, but you hear Batman's voice and you're like, what? And then the nice little mark at the end of them jumping off, using the grappling gun and Robin right side. And get it. And then they both fly up. I like that whole scene. It's good stuff.
Do you think, and I don't know if you've watched how many other episodes of New Batman Adventures you've seen recently to compare, but I think they did draw him bigger when it was Superman wearing the bat suit. Because Gordon even mentions it. He's like, does he look, I don't remember if it was Gordon talking to the officer or the other way around, but somebody says, does he look bigger to you? And I think he kind of does. Like, I noticed that they made his chin look a little wider. And I think they made him maybe a little taller and bulkier, but I wasn't sure if that was just me imagining or if you picked up on that as well.
I honestly, I don't know. I'd have to look up and do a good old side by side. I know that this episode aired close to the end of the new Batman Adventures.
Mhm.
So like this aired, everything says October 10th of 98, and New Adventures had 5 episodes after that airing, and then it was like 2 months, and then Mad Love, which was the last one. So I mean, I guess it kind of came towards the end of it, but I don't know if that affects anything at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
I always thought for The World's Finest that they looked very similar.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then in this episode, I was like, I wonder if they are drawing him a little differently.
Derek, we've got to on this one. So yeah, all right. You have any final thoughts on this? On Nighttime?
Great episode of Superman. Great foray into Batman's world. If you haven't watched Superman the animated series in a while, go back to it, revisit it. There's even a comic adaptation, Superman Adventures, that's pretty good. So it's definitely worth checking out. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Is it called Nighttime?
Well, not of this episode. There's a comic book continuation of Superman the animated series.
Okay. I was gonna say on this. I didn't know that. But okay. I forget it's Superman. I'm kidding. No, I really enjoyed this. I watched this. I think when you first brought it up, when you and I had our first conversations, I was like, oh, it's been a while. I'm gonna just rewatch it anyway. And then so it was a little fresh in my mind, but still, some lines in which us talking about, I still botched the lines. I don't remember exactly what they said, but I think it's a really enjoyable episode for all the reasons that I've said. Yeah, builds up Batman, builds up Superman, builds up Robin. So our heroes are put on a pedestal from this episode, and the whole meaning and why it is allowed on Batmanimation is because the entire premise is about Batman and his significance to Gotham City. So ain't nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you, sir, for taking the time to sit down and talk on Batmanimation.
Well, thank you for having
Superman on Batmanimation. Whoa. People's minds are going to blow. Always a pleasure talking to you. Do you have anything at all that you want to, I don't know, plug away, talk about, where people follow you?
You can follow me on, I'm still saying Twitter.
Yep.
Follow me on X. Sounds like you're plugging a human trafficking site. So
yeah, it doesn't sound right.
So follow me on Twitter, whatever it's called these days. I've got a couple of, I did the reviews for Riddler Year One that are on Batman on Film. Thank you.
All of them. Yeah. Good job.
Which reminds me, we'll have to talk more about that at some point.
Yep.
But yeah.
Because that collected version's coming out
yes, it
here
is.
in a couple of weeks.
Yes, it is.
Like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Already.
I know. Yeah. But read that on Batman on Film. You can find me in the BOF Facebook group, or just in general, come bug me on Twitter. And if you're nice, then I'll be nice back. So
there you go. And if you're mean, you'll never hear from him because he'll block you and move on. Trey's too nice to interact with garbage. As for me, you can check out all of my posts on Batman on Film. Most recently, the latest issue of Batman, Batman number 139. That's on Batman on Film, but also you can follow my podcast, The Batman Book Club, on Batman on Film, as well as anywhere that you get your podcasts. Big month this month, talking One Bad Month. A lot of episodes are dropping, and it's a lot of fun. And I should have looked, so I apologize, Trey. Just didn't do my homework. I should have looked at what episode number you and I talked Joker on the Batman Book Club. So it was a good conversation. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was. It was. Was it like
last year?
Yeah, it's been, I don't know if it's been a year, but it has been a few months.
Man, oh man. I'm flipping through because this is great airtime. It's been over a year. Episode 120, September 10th, 2022. Trey and I talked Joker by Azzarello and Bermejo. So I can check that out. Also dip back into episode 26 of Batmanimation which you can find in the podcast feed or on Batman on Film, where Trey, me, and Minnesota's finest, Garrett Greb, talked Batman, Superman, Battle of the Super Sons.
That was a good
Another good conversation. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a trend here, Trey. So we'll figure something out, and you'll come back on in the future. How about that?
I'll try to make it more Batman centric, but
This
I
worked. This was a great pick.
Yeah.
You know, you were up. You know, you got close to the edge there, but you drew us all back in. So it was a good pick. So that'll do it for here for me and Trey, and announcer Rachel will take us out.
Thanks for listening to Batmanimation, a BatmanOnFilm.com podcast revisiting the animated TV and film adventures of the Caped Crusader. Follow Batmanimation on Twitter @Batmanimation. Follow BOF on Twitter @TheBatmanOnFilm. Follow Jet on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. For Jet and Team BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the original. Established in 1998.